Hello and welcome everyone to Lifetime Adoption's webinar for adoptive parents. I'm Kim King and I'm here with Heather Featherston. Heather, thank you for being with us today.
Happy to be here.
And we're excited to spend this next 30-minute time frame on answering your questions. So, yep, we already have one attendee off and running, putting your questions in the questions box. Please follow suit and add your questions into the questions box. Of course, we also have received your questions that you put into the registration form, so we appreciate those. We'll be diving into those as well. Some of these questions we may tackle kind of rapid fire, and some may carry us off into the deep end of the pool, and we might go really in detail. But we've got 30 minutes to spend in a meaningful way with you today, and we encourage you to ask all of the questions that are on your hearts and minds. And we just know how valuable having information really is. If you haven't filled out the application on our site, it's at LifetimeAdoption.com. More specifically, LifetimeAdoption.com/apply. Filling that out does not obligate you to working with Lifetime, and it is also not a 100% commitment that adoption is your plan or your choice that you're making. We work with a lot of families that we're kind of coming in mid-conversation as they navigate. Where's the Lord leading? They're discerning where's the Lord leading for their family. And we have so many options in the world today, which that can be a good thing, but it can also be an overwhelming thing. But we're glad that you're here with us today, getting your questions answered about private domestic adoption, which is really our specialty here at Lifetime Adoption. There are many kinds of adoption, but here at Lifetime, we work with birth moms who are choosing adoption for the child, most likely during pregnancy and placing a newborn. So that is our typical adoption, although from time to time, we do have some special scenarios where a placing parent is considering adoption for a child that's already born or might be a little bit older. So I see some more questions coming in. Please continue to submit your questions in the questions box. If you are brand new to getting to know Lifetime and you want to receive the whole scoop, all the information from A to Z, the budget, you want our infographic on the process, you want to get access to that level of detailed information, feel free to email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. Share your name, what state you're in, and if you want to share a little bit more about your story and what's bringing you to adoption and what's bringing you to Lifetime, I welcome that information as well as we strive to connect with you and point you in the right direction on your path to growing your family, whether that is another path outside of Lifetime, or maybe God has in his design and plan for your story that we are to partner with you and be the ones to be that instrument in your adoption story. So Heather, we're excited. Let's dive into the questions that we see here. I want to give the first question to Craig, who is live listening on our webinar right now. What has been the most common way to raise funds for Lifetime Adoption? We have seen numerous options online, and I think, Heather, this is such a great place to start because the funding is a big question mark and kind of a burden on a lot of people's shoulders. I mean, a lot of times people come to the decision like, hey, we want to adopt, we want to definitely have a baby, we believe Lifetime is a great fit for us, but like the cost of adopting is really high, and we are just not prepared for that. We don't know how to go about that. How does a typical family fund adoption?
And I'll just add to that, Kim, many times those people think, well, maybe Lifetime's too much, and they go looking elsewhere, only to find out that Lifetime's actually one of the more affordable options. So how do people find funds? Okay. The first easiest way to find funds is ask your employer. Many employers have something called an adoption benefit, but it's not one of those things that is often talked that much about. So ask your employer. There are some employers that provide a benefit of over $10,000, and that money is there waiting for you to use. And if you're married and each of you has separate adoption benefits at work, you can use them both. But that's often one of the biggest hidden ways to find money. Another way families use to find money is borrowing from their 401k. And I know a lot of families really don't want to take on debt. And this is a great way to be able to access money that you need right now, and as you pay it back, you're paying your interest back to yourself. So it's a way to avoid taking on debt, and also it only costs you usually whatever the loan initiation fee is. But that is one of the things that a lot of families look into as well, because the money will still grow because you're paying yourself interest. But it can be very accessible, especially if you're quite a ways from retirement, and you may not need to take it all out. Just usually there's a limit, but that's something to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
There have been any number of ways, really. Families do try fundraisers. Fundraisers can be kind of hit or miss. To be honest, if I were going to do a fundraiser, the ones that I've seen that resonate with me have to do with, cleaning out your house and having a yard sale. Asking your family or friends, hey, we're having a big adoption fundraising yard sale. Do you have anything you want to donate? And many
Mm-hmm.
times people will do that. If you're having the sale, put a sign out. Hey, we're raising money to hopefully adopt a baby. People might give you donations. If your parents live in another city, I know my mom would welcome this. Say, hey, I'd love to. We're trying to raise money. We're having a yard sale. Is there anything you want to donate, or do you want us to come and run a sale for you? A lot of people would be happy to have that help, decluttering and getting things out, and then providing you with the proceeds or a part of the proceeds. So that is something that kind of resonates with me, because it can be hard when you think about fundraising. Often the first thing you think about is asking people for money, which is hard and is often not terribly successful.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, by all means, try it. I've seen a lot of different fundraisers be successful. It just has to, kind of find one that resonates with you. And I know we have a lot of those ideas on our website. We've seen families kind of shift things around to be able to very quickly raise the money. And by that, I mean, examine their car payments. Maybe it's time to downsize one. Examine their spending habits. If you're hitting Starbucks every day, that's, $5 to $10 that can add up pretty quickly over the course of a few months. Even I know sometimes we see a couple where a wife might be working part-time or staying at home now, and maybe they don't have any children, or maybe they do have children and the kids are in school. With the wife getting going to full-time or getting a job, sometimes that, and dedicating all of that money to the adoption, sometimes that's a way to really increase that adoption budget quickly. There are so many ways. You can look into a loan. Home equity loan is often the best. Many times we do see families who are hoping to get grants, and there are some grants out there, but there are typically far more families who apply than there is grant funding available. So
Mm-hmm.
I encourage you to apply, but I often caution and say don't plan on funding your adoption through grants, because it just really isn't a realistic goal, I don't think.
I think too, friends and family, church community can
Hmm.
also be a great contributor toward
Yes.
your adoption, especially if they kind of know your story a little
Hmm.
bit. They've probably been praying for you and wanting this for you for so long.
Hmm.
So sometimes they are able to contribute in a big way beyond like buying a t-shirt or coming to your
Right.
sale or fundraiser, but actually doing a donation, a contribution to
Hmm.
your adoption fund in a bigger way. Every piece of funding matters to
Yes.
help build your total adoption fund. So think about 5 ways that apply to you, such as savings, based on your current situation, how you can cut back, how you can fundraise, employer adoption benefits, contributions from friends, family, church family, online crowd fundraiser, or
Hmm.
online crowdfunding fundraiser, all these kinds of things. Think about 5 of those and then tackle at least 3 of those.
Hmm.
I've seen the most successful families who just don't have this sitting somewhere to pull out and just pay, right? The ones who are really needing to sit down and make a plan and work toward this, they usually tackle this from more of a 3-pronged attack. So 3 streams, and that's been, you know, the most successful I've seen. And of course, if you haven't already viewed our video on this, you can go to lifetimeadoption.com/financing. And that is where we talk about this specific thing, how to fund adoption. How do normal people fund adoption? We speak about that in depth in that, I think it's around 30-minute webinar. You can visit lifetimeadoption.com/financing. And Heather, someone asked, does Lifetime have grants available to families? And I will say sometimes we do have some smaller grants available, maybe between 1, 2, 3, 4,000, somewhere in there, through Lifetime Foundation. That is not all the time. It's not super reliable to count on as part of your budget. But if you are a family that is looking for grants and you're getting close to being ready to start your program here, it doesn't hurt you to inquire. There is a pretty streamlined application process for that. Now, when you are going to be working with Lifetime, you have some steps to complete. And this will kind of segue into this question that someone asked, like, what's the protocol for starting the process? So first, you would begin your application here at Lifetime. It should only take about 15 minutes for you to complete. It's at lifetimeadoption.com for adoptive parents. Share a simple recent photo of you. It doesn't have to be a professional photo. If you are a married couple, we want to see both of you. If you already have children, we love family photos too, as long as they're recent. If you're a single adoptive mom hoping to adopt here with Lifetime, just a picture of yourself is great. And so upload that or email that to us. If you do already have a home study, and you may not, most families that come to us do not, and that's perfectly fine. I think people get nervous about that. Like, we don't even have a home study yet. How could we apply? But we don't expect you to have that. So we're going to start from the beginning, square one, application. Fill it out. It does not hurt you if you're not ready to move forward. It's a great way to open the conversation and get some support. Get a little structure around your options. Okay, so that's a really smart thing to do. And then Lifetime will review your application. We're going to look at, hey, what are this family's characteristics? What are some of the preferences that they have? Like, what are they open to in a birth mom or in an adoption? So the review committee here at Lifetime will take a look at that and get back to you within just a few days, usually 1 to 5 business days, and let you know, hey, we can explore further. Let's schedule a phone or video conference. So then you go ahead, go to the calendar, schedule that in for a time that works for both spouses or for you. And from there, we will provide you with some videos and some handouts to review so that you can learn a little bit more as you come into the conference. During that conference, your coordinator is going to learn a little bit more about your story, what's bringing you to adoption. She's going to answer adoption questions that you have about the process and Lifetime. She's going to ask you lots of questions about what you're okay with in your adoption and help you understand how that impacts our ability to partner and be successful. And then she's going to let you know what to expect next. Now, if you're accepted into Lifetime's program, from there, you should begin your program and start working on your home study if you don't have it. Again, most families don't. And start working on your profile with us. We're going to be providing you with step-by-step guidance on this. So when you're a new Lifetime family, you're going to have a portal that you get to log into and see a checklist and access to your adoption readiness meter, which is actually going to show you the percentage of readiness you are at. You'll also get access to your membership site, which is a whole resources center just exclusive for Lifetime's families. So you're going to find tons of resources all sorted by topic, such as profile development, or what's it like at the hospital, open adoption, bonding with a baby after adoption, all kinds of topics in our listening library. We also have twice a month webinars just for our Lifetime families that are, so right now you're on our webinar that's open to inquiring adoptive parents, right? When you become a Lifetime family, you get access to twice a month, 1 hour long webinars that go a little more in depth. It's more geared toward families we're working with specifically, a Q&A session once a month, and usually the other one is a topic or an interview. So you're going to get access to all of these resources and tools. You're also going to schedule your welcome call with your new primary coordinator. She's going to reach out to you, share her calendar with you, share with you the best way to keep in contact, and start guiding you. And then during your welcome call, hey, if you need a referral for a home study provider, that's not on your shoulders. Just ask your coordinator and she will send that info over to you so you can have the benefit of working with a home study provider that our other families have used most likely for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So you can reach out, make contact, get that going. There are a lot of steps involved in the home study, and I encourage you to go on to LifetimeAdoption.com, go to the blog that is for adoptive parents, and search for the word home study. And you're going to find tons of resources. You can look for lots of different topics, such as open adoption or interracial adoption, transracial adoption, lots of different topics there that are cataloged for you. So the blog for adoptive parents is really helpful. It's at lifetimeadoption.com. So that is kind of how the process begins. From here to we're working together. You're going to be working on your profile. There's a lot to it. We want to guide you through that step by step so that you're set up for success. And again, if you'd like more details and the rest of the story, email me, Kim at lifetimeadoption.com. So that way I can get you the details via inbox, and there is a whole infographic we've created that spells out what to expect in order. So it's all listed out for you in a very complete form, which I love that infographic. It really breaks it down. But if you're listening live and that was your question, let me know if that helped you. If you are listening live and are thinking of follow-up questions, like when you heard me say home study, or you heard me say profile, or you heard me say open adoption, if you have questions or just like a thought about it, feel free to put that in your questions box. That is how we're going to be listener-led today in our webinar.
Absolutely.
So is the person that texted or emailed me, is that going to be my contact the entire time? The customer service has been great so far. Thank you.
That's a great question. I'd love to say yes, but the answer is going to be no, because we have a big staff. And so while all of us are cross-trained, for instance, Kim tonight, she primarily works with families who are exploring adoption, needing help with the fundraising, those types of things. She can do the adoptive family coordinator role, but we have people who are assigned to specifically be support and help and guide as you are, after you join Lifetime and you are preparing to adopt, becoming paper ready, working on your profile, your website, the things that a birth mother will see. You will, like I say, once you start with Lifetime, you will move to an adoptive family coordinator who will be your main point of contact. And you know, it's one of those things that you will get to know her. You will have just like you have with our new family team, you'll have access to her calendar. You can message her within the portal, upload documents to her right there. Kim talked about seeing your adoption readiness meter. You know, all those tools will be right at your fingertips. And so while, you know, Kim and our other coordinators, they're always here. They're always working behind the scenes and certainly could step in if needed. We do have a team that really is specialized on helping and assisting our waiting families. And that includes, in addition to just the coordinator you're assigned to, you'll also work with other coordinators on our team who do have that specialization in helping you with your presentation materials. You'll work with someone else on getting your video uploaded and prepared and ready. So, and then once a birth mother chooses you, that's when you will kind of shift again to work with the coordinator who is working with that particular birth mother. And one of the reasons we do this is because we find that it is easier for waiting families to move to a new coordinator than to ask a birth mother who may have, you know, formed a relationship, formed a trust with her coordinator, asking her to move to yours. So that's kind of most everything we do is trying to keep in mind what will prioritize the relationships that we build through the adoption, and that birth mother relationship is really one of the most important, because it takes a lot of courage to reach out to learn about adoption in the first place. But then for her to navigate the steps through adoption, we want to be sure that she has the opportunity to have a solid trust bond and relationship with the coordinator who is helping her.
Mm-hmm. And Heather, there's another question, and I know sometimes families aren't sure how the nationwide thing works.
Mm-hmm.
So this family is in Texas and they know that we're a Florida agency, but can we still help them?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Since 1986, we have helped families across the country. We have a model that works very well. We also help birth mothers across the country. So we're able to do that. Being local to us isn't really necessarily better, because most everything is done today, online and digitally. People don't usually bring us their, handwritten documents anymore, just because it's the way of the world. So yes, we absolutely can help you, and our program really is designed to provide that wraparound support to families no matter where they are. Are you still here, Kim?
So I was
Oh.
typing and I muted myself
Oh.
because
No.
it's no secret I'm a loud typer. It's one of the mysteries of my life. I'm going to ask God, like, what? No, seriously, by the time I'm face to face with God, I'm probably not going to wonder. But right now, I really want to know, why am I such a loud typer and everyone else isn't? Why? A very aggressive typer. And the more excited I get, the more aggressive it sounds. Like you can literally tell my personality and mood by my typing.
Typing.
Staccato, as one person called it. But back to us. So what can I expect as I live in Louisiana and trying to adopt? So Louisiana has been a positive state.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing stands out of the ordinary, extra hoops to jump through or anything like that over the years, right, Heather?
No, not at all. I mean, we've done a lot of work in Louisiana. In fact, we had one hospital that I think we did 3 adoptions in the same year. So we are very familiar with working in Louisiana. When Kim says nothing stands out, that's a really good thing. States that are more challenging. New Jersey is one of those states that is, if you ask that question, you'd get a little different answer. But no, Louisiana's a great state. And like I say, the wraparound services and support for families, all the families, no matter where you are, those are all for you.
And we have families on the webinar tonight from California, Louisiana, Texas, a couple Florida, Mississippi. So we are seeing a nice little mix of you from all across the country, and it's such a pleasure to spend this time with you and answer the questions. Yes, how about Maine? Thank you for your question. Again, nothing really stands out. Nice, quiet, smooth state, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And here we go with another question. Eunice, is a home study done in California good for any state? Does that matter? So
Oh,
every family just needs their home study done in their own state. So that's
yes.
actually what you're supposed to have. Yeah.
Yeah, you need your home study done in your own state. And it has to be a home study for a domestic adoption. That's, if a home study for an international adoption won't work, a home study for a foster adoption rarely works. But what is important about the home study, and what is a requirement here at Lifetime, is that it is updated annually. And that's not uncommon. That's pretty standard. And the reason for that is because there are different states that have different updating requirements. So when, say, Eunice, you're in California, if you're chosen by a birth mother in Florida, that's considered an interstate adoption because 2 states are involved. There's really nothing particularly complicated, except you do have to fly to Florida, obviously, to pick up your baby. And before you can go home, it's just that the attorney will fill out some paperwork that'll be approved in Florida. It'll be sent to California, who will approve it. And once it's approved in California, then you can travel home. That's called the ICPC, the Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children, is what that stands for. And it's just how states work together when their adoption laws are different, because adoption law is a state state-regulated law. There is not a national law. So getting back to the home study, when your adoption documents are going through Florida and then to California, what they're going to look at is everything up to date? And what that typically means is in the last 12 months. Some states don't require that, but you don't want to get stuck in Florida with a home study that's still good in California, but it's not, it's been over a year for Florida. So we require annual updates because it keeps everything smoother. It reduces delays, and it really just ensures that you are always adoption ready.
And as Heather was sharing earlier in our webinar, yes, we're in Florida, but that doesn't mean that your adoption is likely to be in Florida, because we have literally completed adoptions in every state across the country. And we hear from birth moms from all across the country, whether they're doing their research online or have been referred to us from someone in their local community that they reached out to about their pregnancy or their child, or maybe they're at the hospital and calling us at the last minute to ask if she can still plan an adoption. And what we tell birth moms is it's never too early or too late to consider adoption, which really takes the pressure off. And we haven't really gotten into this too much today, Heather, but I want to share with families who might be joining us maybe for their first time. Lifetime is an organization that we have a big heart for birth moms. We want our adoptions to be birth mom led. We want to empower and support them. We want to provide them with the education and the resources to make a decision and a plan that she is confident with, because decades from now, we want her to look back and know that she made the best choice that she could and was given all the information, and that she feels a huge peace in her heart that Lifetime actually cared about her. And you know what? The beautiful thing is the adoptive parents actually care about her too. So one very important thing that we're looking for in families is that we align on that. And if you're new to adoption and this all seems kind of scary and like we don't know her yet, and what if she has some habits and things that don't align with our values? I highly recommend listening to Lifetime's webinar on modern Christian adoption. You can go to adoptionwebinar.com and find our webinar on modern Christian adoption. It is one of the best resources that I have ever had to help families understand what adoption really is like, and to help unpack and address some of those stereotypes and expectations we might have had, which are just based on maybe a story or two we've had, heard about in our lifetime, that someone was adopted or did adopt or something, or what we've seen in the news, what we've seen in movies. It's not accurate. So if you want the real scoop on what it really looks like in the heart of a birth mom, go listen to the webinar, Modern Christian Adoption. You can message me, email me, and I will send you the link to that. My email is kim@lifetimeadoption.com. And Heather, I didn't scroll up far enough, but there were some other states in here I want to give a shout out to: South Carolina, Minnesota, Hawaii, Missouri, and Idaho. We see you. But you guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We went super fast through some of this information, and I want to encourage you to connect with your coordinator here to talk more in depth about things that you're still wondering about. We're probably going to have another Q&A webinar in a month, but we don't want you to hold off on any of your steps waiting to get questions answered or waiting for the next webinar. We want you to be able to be proactive and make a plan and know what your next steps are. So the best tool to starting that is filling out the application on our site, lifetimeadoption.com/apply, if you want to be specific. And then, of course, as you know, we're going to get back with you and have great communication with you from beginning to end. And another thing about Lifetime is that we provide 24/7 support for birth moms from first contact on into the future. The way that Lifetime cares about families and birth moms is the most valuable thing that I have seen here at Lifetime, and that 24/7 support that continues, especially for a birth mom, on into the future. So she always has someone that knows her story and is here for her, who is with her and for her. That's powerful. And that really sets women's minds and hearts at ease. We're also here to help adoptive parents years into the future should a need arise, and usually it doesn't. But if you're ever in a pickle, you're not sure what the etiquette is in your specific adoption scenario. Maybe it's an open adoption question. Maybe you haven't heard from the birth mom in a year or two and you want to know how to handle that. Just reach out to Lifetime. If you're one of our families, our services extend to you even after the adoption as well. I have so much that I would want to share with you, but this is supposed to be a mini webinar. So we're going to leave it at that. Heather, thank you for being with us. Thank you all for listening to this. If you want the link because maybe your wife wasn't able to attend live, let us know. We'll send you the link. It is recorded. And I hope to talk with you again soon.